You're the easy one, the one who never makes it a problem, who says it's fine and means please don't be upset with me. And you're tired in a way nobody around you can see, because the bill for being that agreeable doesn't come in public. It comes due on the inside, quietly, for years. Here's what I want to do with the next few minutes. I want to give you the line between kindness that has a spine and fear that just has good manners, and the one test that tells them apart so you can stop guessing which one you've been running on. I was the easy one for a long time, praised for it, actually. So easy to be around. I swallowed every no I ever wanted to say and called it generosity. And the whole time, I kept a silent ledger of everything I gave and never got back. A running tab of small resentments I swore, out loud, did not exist. There's a one-word difference between being nice and being kind. One of them is a performance. The other one can say no. By the end of this, you're going to know which one you've been. One thing before the hard part. I don't make these to be liked, which, given the topic, would be a little ironic. I make them for people who'd rather hear the truth than be handled gently. 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I take one comfortable illusion apart. If that's you, subscribe and stay. And like this if the easy one landed somewhere it wasn't supposed to. Now, why the niceness isn't working. Let's start where you actually live. You're the accommodating one. The person who's so low maintenance, who goes with whatever the group wants, who can be counted on to not make things awkward. When the plan changes at the last minute, you're the one who says no worries, works for me, even when it doesn't. And on paper, that's a lovely way to be. People like you. You're invited. You're the safe one to seat next to anyone at dinner. You absorb the friction, so no one else has to feel it. That's the deal you made, probably a long time ago, before you could name it. I'll be easy, and in exchange, I get to belong. But look at the cost, because it's real and it's hidden. You're exhausted by people in a way you can't explain, since nothing happened. You leave gatherings feeling faintly used and can't say why. You've got a whole inner life of opinions you never voice, wants you never state, and a low hum of tiredness that no amount of rest touches. You're accommodating on the outside and slowly disappearing on the inside. And you've got a story ready for all of it. I'm just an easygoing person. I don't like conflict. I'm a giver. I told myself the same things, in the same order, for years, and I meant them. But the strange part was never that I was gentle. It's what my gentleness was actually costing me, and once I looked, who it was really protecting. Here's what it was protecting. Not them. You. Your niceness was never mostly about their comfort. It was about managing your own fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of someone being angry at you. Fear that if you said the true thing, they'd like you a little less, and you'd have to sit in that. So you learn to appease. Someone crosses a line and you smile. You get handed the extra work, and you say happy to. You feel the no rise up in your throat, clear and honest, and you swallow it, and out comes a yeah, of course. That reflex has a name, and it isn't kindness. Psychologists call it fawning, the instinct to placate a threat by making yourself pleasing and small. It's not warmth. It's a survival move. And here's the part that stings. It usually starts young in someone who learned that keeping the peace was safer than having a self. I did all of it, and I told myself I was being generous. I wasn't. I was buying safety with my own honesty, one swallowed no at a time, and every one of those went somewhere. It didn't vanish because I smiled. It got filed, in that silent ledger from the start of the video, the one where I tracked everything I gave and never asked for, which is a strange thing for a generous person to be keeping. Because appeasing was never the same as caring. They can look identical from the outside, but one comes from warmth, and the other comes from fear, and you can feel which is which. And there's a reason this runs so much deeper than a bad week of overcommitting, a reason older than you are. The reason is old enough that 2 very different thinkers both dug it up. Start with Nietzsche. In 1887, in a book called On the Genealogy of Morality, he made an argument that still offends people, because it should. He said a lot of what we call virtue was invented by the powerless. If you can't fight back, if you can't assert yourself, you're left with one move. You rebrand your incapacity as goodness. I'm not afraid to confront them. I'm just too kind for that. Meekness becomes a badge. He called it slave morality, weakness dressed as virtue, so it never has to admit its weakness. Sit with how convenient that is. Being the bigger person can be genuine grace, or it can be the most respectable place on earth to hide from a fight you're scared to have. Then Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, adds the part that actually hurts. He said everything you refuse to own in yourself doesn't disappear. It goes into what he called the shadow. And your aggression, your anger, your capacity to say no, absolutely not. If you've spent your life being nice, you didn't kill that. You buried it. And Jung's warning was blunt. What you bury runs you from underground. The swallowed no doesn't leave. It ferments. It comes back as passive resentment, as the quiet scorekeeping, as being weirdly cold to someone and not knowing why. And this isn't only in your head. There's a long-running study out of Tecumseh, Michigan, that followed people for years, and those who habitually suppressed their anger, who bottled it to keep the peace, had something like 1.5 to 2 times the risk of dying over the study period. Let that land. The no you keep swallowing to be nice doesn't just cost you your voice. On a long enough timeline, it appears to cost you your body. So if the niceness is fear, not virtue, then the fix was never going to be just be more assertive. That's manners advice for a problem that lives underneath your manners. The real repair is something quieter and more uncomfortable than being blunt. Let me step out of it for a second, honestly. The reason I can name this so precisely is that I lived on the wrong side of it. Years of yes when I meant no, and a resentment I refused to even look at, because looking would have meant admitting the nice guy was scared. Saying that plainly, right here, with no apology attached, is the exact muscle this whole video is about. And I'll be straight about why I can. This channel is funded by people, directly, not by an algorithm that rewards the safe, agreeable, flattering version of everything. That independence is what lets me say the unnice thing. If it's worth something to you, the Buy Me a Coffee link's in the description. Pay what you want or nothing and stay. Because what real kindness actually is, the kind with a spine, is next, and it's not what the word's been trained to mean. Here's the repair, and it lives in the gap between 2 words we throw around like they mean the same thing: nice and kind. They're not the same. In practice, they're often opposites. Nice is about managing how you feel about me. It points outward, at your reaction. It smiles, agrees, smooths the moment over, says whatever keeps the temperature down. Nice would rather you leave happy than leave with the truth, so it'll lie to you softly, all day long, and call that being considerate. Kind points the other way, at what's actually good for you, even when saying it costs me something. It can look you in the eye and tell you the hard thing. It can tell you no. It can disappoint you to your face instead of resenting you behind your back. And it survives your anger, because it wasn't built out of fear of your anger to begin with. One is a performance of safety. The other has a spine. Now hold on, because this is exactly where people take the wrong exit. A spine is not permission to be cruel. Cruelty is just niceness flipped inside out. Another person run by fear, hurting you first so you can't hurt them. Real kindness still cares deeply. The whole point is that it's warmth that finally stopped being afraid. Spine and care aren't opposites. Fear was the thing standing between them. I made a whole video on calling fear being realistic. This is the same trick in a different mask. There, fear dressed as good judgment. Here, it dresses as a good heart. Same fear, nicer coat. So here's the test, the one-word one I promised. Real kindness can say no. If yours can't, if the no physically won't come, then some of what you've been calling your good heart has been fear all along. Which means the question stops being how to be a better person. It becomes what a spine actually looks like on an ordinary Tuesday. It's smaller than you think and more frightening than it sounds. Not a personality transplant. A few reps of a muscle you let go slack. It looks like a no with no trial attached. You say, no, I can't do that. And then, this is the hard part, you stop talking. You don't stack 3 apologies on top of it. You don't explain yourself into a corner until the no dissolves back into a yes. You let it stand there, naked, and you let the other person have their reaction without rushing in to fix it for them. It looks like letting a silence stay awkward. Someone says something you disagree with, and instead of the automatic nod, you just don't nod. You let the quiet sit. You'd be amazed how much agreement you've handed out purely to end a silence you found unbearable. It looks like disappointing someone and not texting an hour later to smooth it over. That follow-up text, the hey, hope that was okay. That's the fawn reflex trying to claw the safety back. Kindness lets them be a little unhappy with you and trusts the relationship to hold. And mostly it looks like catching the yes before it leaves your mouth. You feel it forming, the automatic sure of course, and you put one beat of silence in front of it. In that one beat, you ask, is this a yes or is this fear? That pause is the whole practice. It's not a program. It's a test you run in real time. But when you feel that reflex fire, the real question was never how. It's whether you're going to keep buying everyone else's comfort with your own honesty. So I'm not going to hand you a plan. No assertiveness challenge, no 30 days to embolder you. That's just niceness again, wearing a workbook, performing growth to be seen growing. One no. That's it. Sometime this week, there's going to be a moment where the yes is already halfway up your throat, and, you know, it's the frightened one. Say the true thing instead. Once. Without the apology tour afterward. And then just watch. Watch what it costs you, and watch what it clears out. Both are information. Most of the time, the catastrophe you were bracing for doesn't come, and the small handful of people who only wanted the easy version of you, it's better to find that out now than to keep paying them for another decade. Here's the thing you already know. Before you ever say it, you can feel which yes you're going to regret. That quiet flinch right before you agree, that's not nothing. That's the truest part of you, still trying to get a word in. And keep the guardrail close, because fear loves a loophole. This is not permission to go be harsh and call it honesty. If you find yourself enjoying the sharpness, savoring someone's discomfort, that's not a spine, that's just the fear pointing outward now. Kindness with a spine still wants the other person okay. It just refuses to buy their okayness with your own disappearance. So the choice was never nice or cruel. It's this: keep being liked, or start being real. You don't get to be fully both, and you already know which one you've been choosing. If this put a name to the tiredness you've been carrying, the one no amount of sleep ever fixed, then it did its job, and I won't tie a bow on it. Here's the reinforcement, from a different angle than my own story. Work that refuses to flatter you only survives if the people it reaches decide it should. The gentle, agreeable stuff is what the feed rewards on its own. This isn't that, and it costs something to keep making. If it's worth keeping, the link's in the description. Fuel, not charity. And in the comments, one honest line, the kind this whole video was asking for. The last time you said it's fine and it wasn't, what were you actually afraid would happen if you'd told the truth instead? Write the real answer, not the tidy one. Reading other people's is its own strange relief, a room full of people admitting the same swallowed no. Then send this to the kindest person you know who's quietly running on empty. They'll recognize themselves in it, and they need to. I'll be here Wednesday.